Hello and welcome to CLEA'S World. I am Clea, and today I would like to share with you more information I've received from a 25th dimension during my last BQH hypnosis session. I'll be reading from a transcript of the session, and when I refer to Lorrayne, I'm speaking of my practitioner who's asking me questions I prepared in advance of the session. And when I refer to me, I'm speaking of myself under hypnosis, which means that the answers are coming from the 25th dimension. Before I jump in, as always, I want to thank you for subscribing, liking, and commenting. It really makes me happy that we have this very high vibrational community, and it's just wonderful, especially considering that there aren't many essences left. So it's nice to group together. All right, I'm going to start reading here, but I want to point out that this particular section of the transcript is what I term personal questions. As you guys know by now, if you've seen any of my previous sessions, these questions are never really personal. They're more about things that I'm assuming if I'm going through these, then other people are as well. So that's why I'm sharing this with you, because again, none of us is unique in that sense. So we're all kind of working on the same energy. We're all kind of doing the same work in the background. Lorrayne, okay. Claire would like to know, how can I reach a level of conscious awareness where I'm able to bridge the gap, so to speak, between what I know and feel when I am source and when I am myself in 3D? For example, to consciously know what I am doing in the 14th dimension as a watcher. Is this knowledge reserved for a new earth because it would entail having no veil, and I might not be able to handle it right now with my human emotions? And Lorrayne's comment is, I would like the answer to this too. Basically, what I'm referring to is that when I have these merged with the all experiences, I feel a certain way and I see everything for what it is, basically from a higher self, from source's perspective. And when I am here, I'm a 3D human like everybody else. And so I'm like, there's a lot in between there. Why can't I see what else is happening as well? So here's the answer from the 25th. So there isn't much to say. Yes, the answer is yes. This knowledge would entail having no veil, meaning that you would realize all of a sudden that this is not real. You're in the 25th. This is not real. And therefore, that would imply that you know exactly everything, how we played the game here and what has happened. And we already said that's the last thing we want to know. We are dealing with it in baby steps. Many of us do not even want to deal with it at all right now. And so we'll not allow this. We are not allowing this knowledge until we get to your earth. So yes, the reason you cannot bridge that gap right now is because you don't want to know. You do want this 3D reality to be the only quote unquote real reality available to you. So you don't want to realize what your higher self knows. For example, that it goes from one planet to the other like it's nothing, from one dimension to the other like it's nothing, because none of them are real. We said in the beginning, the reason we're meeting in the 14th dimension is because there's furniture. We believe the furniture is real when we focus on the 14th dimension. But meanwhile, it's always our higher self that's jumping back and forth and going all over the place. So that's why, yes, so you're not going to be able to do this. Lorrayne, okay, but is there a way for us to feel more of our higher source self, be more consciously aware of our source self now? Me, yes, absolutely. Now, how has Clea become more consciously aware of her source self? She has used outside triggers, codes, plant medicine, singing bowl meditations. Why? Because not only we said these instruments, these codes are higher vibrations. So when we are looking for something, we know where to go. But for example, if we had thought higher vibration or no higher vibration, if Clea had thought plant medicine is bad and is going to make me crazy, she would have not had the same experience she's had, obviously. So it has to align with your belief about a code or about a product, is what you would call it at this level. So yes, that is an easy way, because again, we want to trigger by going to outside reality, because we don't want the veil to fall completely. So as much as you know that you're creating anyway, because again, two different people can use plant medicine and have two completely different experiences. So we know it's not the plant medicine that's causing the experience, so you can make this happen yourself. But at the same time, it is so much easier. It's the same thing you're doing right now with the surgery. It's so much easier to go to outside reality, which you have created in the first place, and say, I'm going to use this. And they're referring to Lorrayne's sinuses surgery, which she was going to have after the session. It's just easier. You pick up something, you use it, and then you put it down, and you're done with it. And so, do you want to become more aware of being source? You can use whatever way. We keep repeating this. You can use whatever way you believe will make you more aware of being source. In your particular case, Lorrayne, you might think that if you meditate 6 hours a day, you will actually be one with source. You are one with source now. You are source. So does it take 6 hours a day of meditation? If you believe it does, then yes, it does. That's what you should be doing. But if you don't believe it does, like Clea doesn't believe it, Clea's been fighting this meditation idea for a long time. She felt like she was lacking. Meanwhile, she was thinking to herself, well, I'm connected to the 25th and I'm not meditating. So, and they were laughing. And it's true. I always thought I was a slacker. I was just lazy. But she was conflicted for a long time because from everywhere, what's the idea we get from everywhere? We get bombarded with the idea that you have to meditate and that's the only way to connect. And the more you do it, the better you are and why not? And Clea's thinking, well, I haven't meditated in a long time and here I am speaking to the 25th because it doesn't matter. If your intention is to become more aware or more often consciously aware that you are source, then you ask yourself, what would make me feel that way? What would work for me? Maybe for you is smelling a flower without being obstructed by your senses. I smell a flower and I realize I'm one with source. The trigger can be anything. We talked about this in reference to twin flames. People saying a twin flame caused a Kundalini awakening. We already said there is no twin flame, and they were laughing. And a Kundalini awakening is just a terminology you use to say that you basically became more aware of something. And you could have used any trigger whatsoever to have it. We already said on other planets, higher dimensional levels where they don't have such low vibrational products as we have or experiences as we have, they could be looking at a beautiful sunset and have a Kundalini, or what we call Kundalini awakening. But here, of course, you got to go through what Clea did, which was cancer, a divorce, being pregnant without a husband, and finding a man who was really, really low vibration. But all of a sudden, she's thinking, oh, he's here to save me. And all of a sudden, she has this Kundalini awakening, or what she thinks, what she calls it. And so do you see? So it doesn't really matter. So the question to you, we would turn this question to you and say, how would you like that to look like? What would you like? Would you like it to come to you in dream state? Would you like it to be the first thing that you do when you wake up in the morning and you feel you know that you are source? Would you like it to be something that happens when you go outside in the sun or you see a squirrel run through your garden? Whatever that looks like to you, where you feel that you are connected, because you're always connected, it's just a feeling of connection. Clea now recognizes when she's connected because even though she still tries to play the game and says, oh, I'm having these questions, I'm going to have to ask the 25th dimension the next time around, all of a sudden we give her the answer. She goes, oh yeah, I'm connected. And she's starting to, very subtle energy. She's starting to recognize that she's always connected, even though she's still playing the game in her mind of being disconnected sometimes. And so in your case, what would make you feel like you can have, maybe for you it is to go outside and breathe in fresh air and look at the sun and do whatever it is that makes you feel good. For example, we talked a long time ago about the fact that you have an area in your garden that has very vivid energy and you feel it. Perhaps being in that space will make you feel, will remind you, will let you remember, you will allow yourself to remember that you are source. Lorrayne, actually, all I have to do is pause, take a moment and then connect. I do know how to connect to my source self and I feel it. Me, of course, yes. Lorrayne, Clea says, you said that the reason you are distributing this information through me is because I've always wanted to spread messages. You also said we only recently decided to share the information about the 25th within the matrix. But when I went through my awakening, it culminated into me channeling you. And I say channeling, quote unquote. I really don't like this word, but I don't know what other word to use. What would my awakening have brought me had we not decided to know about the 25th? Spreading messages of a different sort? Or was my path meant from the beginning to end up channeling you since there is no time? This goes hand in hand with the fact that you said that we're receiving this information from you about the takedown because we wanted to know. But if we just decided to spread this information about the 25th about a year ago in Earth years, is that when we decided that we wanted it, or had we wanted it since we came into this incarnation? Me. Yes, so the question here is, we started connecting with Clea, or Clea started connecting with us, or being aware of connecting with us in August of 2021. So that's a year. It's a little bit more than a year. Is that when we decided the information would be made available, it wasn't instantaneous like that, because Clea well knows that she was postponing actually the hypnosis. She postponed it for well over a month, almost 2 months. And not only that, she was fighting it. They're laughing. And she didn't want to release it for several months. She started releasing the information many months after she started getting it from us. And so in that sense, we decided to distribute this information prior to that, or what you consider to be prior to when she first connected with us in her first qhht hypnosis session. At the same time, no, we did not know this in terms of Earth years when she came in. But people like Clea's higher self, have an interest in spreading messages, and therefore they're always available. If anything needs to be distributed, whether it's from outside the matrix or inside the matrix, people like Clea with the same interests, and you can do this at game level as well, always have an interest in distributing information. So as soon as information becomes available, it will be distributed by these people whose higher self has an interest in this. And therefore, it was really a toss-up. It was really almost a shoe-in that somebody like Clea would be getting this information. One, she's one of the 12,000. And so, of course, she's always bringing in information that is of import when it comes to the takedown and to things of this kind. And so there is an interest there. Again, we align ourselves along our interests, even at the higher self level, because we already said anyone could be a light worker. It doesn't have to be these 12,000 specific higher selves. And so it's almost like you're still aligning with this, meaning that the second we could be giving you more information that's not available right now that we haven't discussed yet. And when we decide to make it available, it will still be people like Clea bringing it through. Again, not because Clea is special, but because Clea has an interest in this. It's just like saying that we come up with a new scientific development. It's not going to be Clea bringing it through, but it's going to be some person, some essence who has an interest in bringing through, making a scientific breakthrough, because that's what they want to experience. That's all. So Clea, yes, she did not have to. It wasn't her ultimate path to connect with us in terms of before we decided this information would be available. But it was definitely her path to, it was her interest to become more and more consciously aware. So you see, I mean, it's one thing after the other. It's one step after the other. You're always aligning. You're always preparing yourself for the next logical thing that will come, the next consequence of what you've done in what you consider the past. So of course, this information would have not come in. It would have never come into a person who wants to align with a 3D chamber, wants to be 3D. They wouldn't even have gone necessarily to a hypnosis session. Now, we said the beauty of hypnosis is that a lot of 3D people do go because we think of them, which is the same reason Clea went, because we think of it as being very scientific, very 3D, nothing that anybody can argue with. You do hypnosis, and this is what happens. And this is why it was acceptable for Clea to get information this way, because she wasn't willing to let go of that piece of herself where she has to be very, very 3D, very logical, very rational in her explanations. And that's why she continues questioning what we say in many ways, which again is perfect. This is exactly the type of personality that we chose. And again, but why? There are other people that have this type of personality because her higher self was interested. So yes, it didn't have to, it's not something that she was meant to eventually channel us, but it's something that came up as a consequence, if you wish, of what she has done in the past, which again is a matter of alignment. So all of us going to New Earth obviously have aligned ourselves with certain information. And it doesn't matter if you're the one channeling it, speaking it, or if you're the one hearing it. So everybody, for example, that's getting this information on the channel is connecting the same way as Clea is. We're all connected all the time. We know this, but we're saying we're all getting the same information. Now, Clea, of course, because she's experiencing this from a first-hand experience, she's training herself in some ways that might be different from other people. But the information is all the same for everyone. And not only, again, we're not just getting it from the channel. We're getting it because it's out there. It's now available. And therefore, her higher self is always pushing it down to us in preparation for going to New Earth. And so that's what's happening. So it wasn't always meant to be because we didn't know we were going to release this information, but she was always meant to bring in information. And so this makes sense to her that she would end up doing this. And I really wanted to share this with you because he makes a lot of very good points. One is that it really doesn't matter who's bringing information through. The information has been brought into the matrix, and if you're receiving it, then we're doing the same work here, right? And again, it wasn't even that important that it be spoken verbally, it be put out there like on a YouTube channel. But in this case, it's helping because we're doing this work consciously. And as you know, in our community, and we talk about this in the Telegram group all the time, when one person has a breakthrough, works through something, we all do. We're all leveraging each other. It's like a springboard to the next breakthrough. This is exactly what we're going to be doing on New Earth. So this is what why I want to share this, but also the fact that it really does show the alignment that we have in this lifetime. All of us have had in this lifetime, because things don't happen by chance. It's always one step after the other. It very much is in line with your interests. And again, the higher self picks an NPC based on the personality of the NPC. So the fact that I'm bringing in this information, it makes sense to me, because not only I'm interested in information, and I always have been, as many of you are, again, or otherwise you wouldn't be here, but also is the fact that this is my personality also to, you see me like question and think through stuff, and I have to bring together all the elements and make sure everything makes sense, and I'll go over something, this facet, that facet. And I know this helps me, and I'm really hoping that it helps you as well. But this is also helping this information be distributed, because I do have this questioning personality. And so, of course, I keep going at it, as opposed to saying, well, I had this information come through and that's it, bye-bye, which would have been perfectly fine as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video and you enjoyed this connection. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you, as always, for watching, and take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.